In fact, can I just see a show of hands, first of all? How many people would lower the voting age? Murdo, you're getting radicalised sitting in the middle.
I'm in two minds on this one. I think the real issue here is turnout. I mean, the turnout amongst the 18 to 25s at elections is about 30%. And therefore, I don't think the issue is lowering the voting age, although I've got an open mind on whether it should be lowered. The issue is whether those who actually get the vote are prepared to use it. Because if you're not prepared to use it, what's the point of lowering the voting age? So I'd encourage everybody here, get out and vote. I don't care if you vote for somebody else, or don't vote for us. So, get out and vote.
So Murdo then, if lawyers don't vote, should we just take the vote off them?
No, I'm not saying don't take the vote off them, but it seems daft to have a discussion about lowering the voting age to a whole new group of people if the 18-year-olds are not using their vote at the moment. Yeah, that should be the important issue, encouraging more people to vote.
It's a bigger issue. It's a bigger issue than just turnout. It's about principle.
I myself am 15 and obviously won't be able to vote this year. But if I was, I'm going to be turning 16 soon. And if I was to be able to vote in the Scottish elections this year, I feel that I have a valid opinion that should be counted in this year's elections. And the fact that some people say, well, 16-year-olds, they're immature. I'm sure there's plenty of people in the 18 to 24 category who are not as mature. And I think that the factor of matureness is a stupid argument.
This school is rapidly turning into the Star Turn, I've got to tell you here. Let me ask, sorry, can you just move your foot a wee minute? I'm not just, this is a 46-year-old back that's leaning over. Can I just ask you then, what do you think about apathy in your age group? Are you unusual? Like, I mean, you seem really keen.
Well, I'll be honest, and I would not say for a minute that maybe even as many as half people in the probably 16 and 17-year-old age category would vote. But I think that the people that would use their right to vote would use it well, because these are the people who are thinking, right, I've been given this right, and I should use this right, and they're the ones that can actually make the difference in the Scottish society.
Right. Right, okay, yes, there were points coming from my back. Who was,
well, it's just that Murdo made the point that this whole question is about turnout. And I think that's just totally and utterly wrong. This is about principle. This is about young people who turn 16, who can be taxed, who can get married, who can do a whole number of other mature adult things, but are denied the vote. It is a principle that we should introduce the vote at age 16. They can join the armed forces at 17. They should have the vote, and they should be able to determine who it is that represents them. After all, if they had the vote, maybe they wouldn't have a stupid wee minimum wage level that is just for 16 and 17-year-olds. Maybe they would have the adult minimum wage level, because the adult politicians would actually have to listen to what you've got to say, whereas just now I feel they can afford to ignore it, Leslie. So it's about principle, and I think we should lower the vote.
Right, Mark?
Yeah, following that point of Tommy's, at the moment in the Scottish Parliament, when we talk about young people, it tends to be about antisocial behaviour orders, getting young people off the streets, and this kind of real fear of young people. And that's partly, I think, because politicians don't have to worry about the votes of young people. Votes at 16, I think, would transform the way we talk about young people. It would mean more respect for young people, more listening to young people, because the politicians would be accountable to 16 and 17-year-olds instead of simply loading them with more punitive measures. And that, I think, is a great argument for votes at 16, because politicians would start to listen to young people.
No. Okay. Right, okay, Margaret?
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to pick up on the whole question of sort of young people, because, I mean, I agree with what Mark said. A lot of the time, what you hear politicians doing is demonising young people. Maybe it's because I've got two 15-year-olds and two 18-year-olds, and I won't tell you which ones I would give the vote to. It wouldn't necessarily be the 18-year-olds. What we hear all the time is we hear about youth crime. We don't hear about all the kids that are out there volunteering. We don't hear about young carers. We don't care about all the fantastic work that young people are doing in universities and in schools. We would have things like young opportunity funds, where young people in their own communities could set their own priorities, could get together, decide what it is that their communities need, actually get resources so that they could actually make a difference. And I think the biggest plea from all of us should be to everybody who has the right to vote is to actually exercise that right to vote. And 18 to 24-year-olds are not making use of that, and because of that, they're letting politicians away with stuff. You know, if you've got the vote, use it. Don't care how you use it, just get out and use it. And I would absolutely expand it down to 16-year-olds. Absolutely agree. It's a point of principle. You should have the right to vote. If you're being called upon in terms of putting into the public purse through taxation, through your work efforts, all of these things, it's absolutely fundamentally wrong that you don't have the right to vote.